Okay, first half major awards. The caveat is that you can't pick the favorites. So, for instance, we are going to pick our first half MVP, but you can't pick Joel Embiid. Okay, you can't do it. Now, this one, let's be honest, we're going to pick Shea. We're Thunder fans. We think he deserves it. We really like him. He's been great. They're the number one team in the West. You could make a very compelling case for Jokic, obviously. But let's just move along because we both know we're going to pick Shea. Okay. The coach of the year, Andrew.
Say anything?
Huh?
We don't even get to say anything. I mean, go ahead. It's fine.
No.
Go listen to me on the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecini. I make the case to win it.
And also you were you talking about him on tampering today as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, quit talking about him. Okay, coach of the year, you can't pick Mark Daigneault. Thank God. Who would you like to nominate for coach of the year, Andrew?
I mean, Chris Finch has been amazing for the Wolves.
He has, and he is number 2 in odds.
Yeah.
May I make a case for one other guy who I was on BetMGM. He's not even on the top 10 list.
Really? Will Hardy?
No, although that's a pretty good choice as well.
Yeah.
JB Bickerstaff.
Oh.
Because this Cavs team, he lost 2 all.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they're not all because MMO's not made an All-Star game, but he's lost 2 starters.
Yeah.
One of whom was an All-Star, and this team has been one of the best teams since that point.
It's true.
And they are a home court advantage team as of right now. I know the Knicks are very close there as well. I just think he deserves a ton of credit. You have to give him some of the credit for helping manage this team. But I also think that the Timberwolves have been one of the stories of this season, having the best defense in the league. They've been very, very good. And I think that his task, I mean, it's very hard coming back from 2 starters being out, but Finch's task of trying to figure out the Gobert thing after what happened last season and finally figuring it out and making it all work, I think that is very deserving.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people thought they'd have to make a move.
Yeah, absolutely.
To trade Gobert, and then you basically lose asset. I mean, it's just, it could be disastrous, but instead they're right there with the Thunder for number 1 in the West.
Next one, most improved player. You can't pick Tyrese Maxey. Who would you pick?
I actually would pick Scotty Barnes.
Okay.
Scotty Barnes. Well, one, he has improved from last season to this season. I also think Kobe White is like the other, like, really who I think has a chance to win it. But Scotty Barnes, 15 points to 20 points per game. He's taking on more offensive responsibilities. He's averaging career high in points, assists, rebounds, and steals and blocks this season. He looks like a player that could be a franchise guy, which last season he had taken maybe a small step forward, maybe a small step back, depending on who you talk to. I think he's taken a massive step forward. His shot looks better. He's making more threes. He's shooting more threes. He's taking 5 threes per game at almost 37%, which is just really good for a player like that. So Scotty Barnes going from like good player to like a guy that you feel like is a pillar of your franchise. To me, it's a tough step to take, and he's done it this season.
He made my Final Four. The others in my Final Four, I wanted to mention Şengün because he's been great, but I would argue that a lot of his improvement was just his team deciding to play him and
his coach deciding he was a good player.
Yeah, basically. So I don't like. I think Şengün was probably that player last year or close to it. He obviously has improved, but also they're running the offense through him. They're doing the things they should have been doing this entire time. So I don't want to give it to him. J-Dub, he's been great, but he's a second-year player. He should get better. I don't want to give it to him. So it came down to me to Scotty Barnes and Kobe White. The reason I went Kobe White is because even though I talked about him in the second half of last year saying, oh, this guy's really coming along, like he's making a pre-leap, I never imagined in a million years that this would happen in year 5 for Kobe White. Like there's a thing with young players, and it's unfair because we've seen it with like Markkanen, where like if it doesn't happen by year 3, you kind of check out a little bit and you like reduce your expectations for that player. And that had certainly happened with me and Kobe White. So I just love those stories when a guy like in his 5th or 6th year just explodes out of nowhere, like when Julius Randle, when it happened with him, where a guy later in his career just kind of breaks out, where he's still young, like it makes sense that he would get better, but he breaks out to such a degree that it surprises you. His shooting has been incredible. His playmaking has been great, and the way that he carried that Bulls team for a lot of that stretch, like immediately after Levine went out, and has still continued to be a good player even as Levine has come back in the lineup. That's why I opted for Kobe White.
Yeah.
What do you think? We have to decide.
After the last 15 games, he's 21-5-5, which
Yeah.
did you ever think he would have a 15-game stretch where he would average something
No.
like that? Yeah.
No.
Let's give it
No.
to Kobe White. Let's give
All
it to
right.
The improvement is striking. Like, I think you could have reasonably thought that Scotty Barnes would get better. No, Kobe was
Right.
more
Yeah.
out of nowhere. Yeah.
Next, easy one, Rookie of the Year. Wemby is now the favorite. So, listen, this isn't even a homery. We're going with Chet, okay? We don't really have to talk about it.
Talk about.
We're not going with Jaime. All right, we're going with Chet.
No, it's a battle between those two, and it's crazy because these are both like generational players, and I feel like you can pretty safely say that for both of these guys. They're both incredible, and the arguments back and forth have just gotten ridiculous. And I dipped my toe into that yesterday, and boy, those waters are boiling hot, Al. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, see, I prevented all this by drafting Wemby in the 2nd round of my fantasy draft, which some thought was crazy at the time. But as he gets better, I've just been proven more and more smart. So
yeah,
I feel great. Okay, Defensive Player of the Year. You can't choose Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to choose the same guy. Let's say his name. I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say his name. Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Anthony
OG
Davis.
Anunoby. Oh, okay.
I like OG. I actually talked to Vicini about this too, and he kind of swayed me away from it. In that, OG just wasn't that good for the Raptors. If it were just like OG on the Knicks, I would be totally in on this, and may even start to try to argue that he should be the Defensive Player of the Year, period. And maybe we'll get there if he plays like this the rest of the season. But with the Raptors, it just wasn't this good.
That's true. That's a very good point. The one thing I just did want to mention, like, it is pretty amazing that he goes to this team, and within 12 games, they go from the 19th ranked defense to the 2nd ranked defense in the league.
I know. And just watching him at his size, defending, all the best players on the other teams. I mean, he's the perfect addition to that team. He's been unbelievable. And maybe if he does this the rest of the season, I think he'll probably make all defense and then probably wind up, 2nd in voting. And I think he deserves it. But Anthony Davis has been really, really good for the Lakers, and I think they would be rudderless without him. He's got a massive job on defense, and he's been healthy. And so I want to give him credit while I still can, because it feels like
because you feel the OG train coming, and it's going to overtake him.
I mean, maybe, but I also
did you see? We're recording on Thursday night. The Knicks beat the Nuggets tonight, 122-84. OG had 26 points, 6 steals, and there's a very funny clip, a little 7-second clip of Tibbs sitting down at the post-game press conference, like smiling, nonstop, just like giggling. He was giggling. He was so happy. I mean, why? You got to give it to OG for that. Look what he's done to Tibbs. He's made him so happy.
Yeah. I will give it to I'll give it to OG just because I do believe in him keeping this up throughout the rest of the season.
He does have to keep doing it, because now it's been 13 games. That's still not very many games. But if we get to the end of the season and he's had this effect over like 55 games, that would be incredible. I mean, they'll be the number 1 defense in the league. Yeah, they'll probably continue going up the East standings. That would really make his case strong. This is a little preemptive.
Maybe he could actually win it too.
Maybe that'd be fun. Last one, 6th Man of the Year. You can't choose. Did you even know that Tim Hardaway Jr. was the favorite?
I did know this. Yes, okay. I did. I looked it up.
The guy I went with is the guy who I thought was the favorite, which is Malik Monk.
Yeah.
I know the Kings have been in a little rough patch, but you can't deny the improvement as a playmaker that Monk has that we've seen from Monk this year, and he's just been so huge for this team at a time when so many of their players were going through various slumps. You know, whether it was like Harrison Barnes not looking good at the beginning of the year, Kevin Huerter having so many issues, Keegan Murray even at the very beginning of the year was really struggling. He has been like so important for them off the bench and in closing games. He's had huge moments. I think he's like your classic six man. Your classic six man.
He's classic.
Give this award to.
Other guys I would consider Norman Powell, who's been
he's shooting like 45% from three or something.
Yeah, 45% from three on like 5 attempts. I mean, he's been really, really good for them. Jordan Clarkson is another one, another classic six man. But I'm with you, Malik Monk. Give me Malik Monk.
Okay, the next one we have to agree on. Master of Illusion Award, the team whose record is most deceiving. So this could go either way. It could be a team whose record's worse than you think they are, or a team that's record is better than you think you are. They are.
I mean, the easy one is Milwaukee, right?
The easy one is Milwaukee, yes.
Can we even count that at this point?
I mean, I didn't pick them. Because you know, Doc's coming in there.
Yeah.
You know,
Doc's coming in there.
Maybe they'll turn things around. But I agree with you. Like everyone kind of knows that.
Yeah.
So, did you have any other teams though?
I mean, I thought about Phoenix.
Exactly.
Too.
That's who I went with. Phoenix.
Oh.
Yeah. They're 26-18. They've won 7 in a row.
Point differential is not anything to write home about. I don't know.
It's not. It's all an injury thing. Because if you like look at the minutes that their best guys are playing together, they're just destroying teams.
Yeah.
And they're now healthy for the longest stretch, and they've been unbeatable over these last 7 games. And they've had some good wins in there. So I think it's deceiving because if these guys had just been healthy from the beginning of the season, I think they're in that conversation with like what we see as that top tier, which is, you know, OKC, Minnesota, Denver, and the Clippers. Like I think. I mean, they're at 26 wins. It's not like they're that far behind those other teams. So if they stay healthy, I think this team is going to be right there at the end of the season. And as I mentioned, they still have their contender resume.
Yeah, they do. I'm less of a believer. I'm almost an opposite believer in the other direction.
An opposite believer. Interesting. A non-believer?
I'm a non-believer.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if they're healthy. I'm not asking you about the playoffs.
Yeah. I just don't. They're supporting cast. I just don't believe it.
Wow. So you almost think it's a Master of Illusion. You think their record's deceiving as it is now after this 7-game
stretch? Yeah, I kind of do.
Wow.
But
non-believer.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater.
Two more. Here we go. I'm going to do this one first. Play out to play in award. Team currently outside the play-in that we feel most confident will make the play-in. So the realistic options: Brooklyn, Toronto, Houston, Golden State.
Yeah.
And both Brooklyn and Toronto lost tonight. I mean, I was tempted to pick Brooklyn just because I think the bottom of the East there, like with Atlanta, like if Atlanta makes a move, like they could get worse. Like Brooklyn could not even be that great and get into the 10th
wild
spot.
That Atlanta is 10th.
It is wild. Yeah, there was people very excited about them beginning of the.
They're 18 and 26, and they're 10th. That's what I'm surprised about. Not even that they're bad. Of course they're bad, but the fact that they get into the play-in at 18 and 26.
Yeah, get them out of there.
16 teams out of first place. 16.
So realistically, I think you have to go Houston or Golden State.
Yeah.
Both teams who I think could make a deal at the deadline that could swing this.
Yeah.
And both
Warriors. Give me the
teams
Warriors.
Who I think are incentivized. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Warriors as well.
Yeah.
That one's a little easy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's just you don't want to be the one to predict the downfall. But, you know, Josh Houston's already did. He did that preseason. But I just think they'll climb back in it. I think that they'll get back in it. And my bold prediction will likely be wrong and that Utah will fall out. And it'll be Golden State, Lakers, Mavs, Kings, Pelicans, all in that mix.
Yeah.
It'll be my
guess. Yeah, and with Houston, I think I was counting up their wins and losses. They're like 7-14 in their last 21.
Yeah.
Um,
3
but
and
you
7 in
do
the last 10.
3 and
Yeah.
7 in the last 10. Yeah, you just wonder if they'd be willing to do a bigger trade. Like I keep seeing some Rockets fans starting to be willing to talk about Jalen Green trades. And I would be interested to see what this team would look like with someone else in place of Jalen Green.
Yeah.
I do think that would be interesting.
They'd be better. Yeah.
They'd be better. Okay, final one. Second half run award. Now, this is given to a team currently around or below 500 that will make a second half run. So you can go as high as I would say the Miami Heat. I think they're 24-21 now. If you really wanted to take Miami,
Okay.
but I'm very confident about my pick, and it is. I wonder if it's the same team. Orlando Magic.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, because listen to this. First of all, they were great at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And then they started to deal with some injuries. Franz just came back in the lineup after missing 8 games. From now until the end of the season, they have the 30th ranked schedule. The easiest schedule in the league. So, yes, it's been rough, but unlike Milwaukee's flipped. Like Milwaukee just had like the easiest part of their schedule, and now I think they might be number 1 in terms of hardest schedule rest of the season. Orlando's the opposite. So I think if they can get healthy, and they're also a team that has some trade deadline intrigue, if they could grab a shooter or maybe another playmaker, I really think that would make a huge difference to the Magic. And with this easy schedule, I mean, they got 3 games left against Detroit. Now, I do need Detroit to win 13 games, but still, at the same time, it is still Detroit. They have to lose 25 of them, Andrew. So that's why I feel confident that the Magic are going to make a second half run.
I think it's Indy.
Indy?
Yeah.
Are they? Where are they? What's their record right now?
24-20. They're right there with the Heat.
They just beat the Sixers, though. That's cheating.
No, you qualified the Heat, though. Yeah. I didn't know that. I mean, if you brought the Heat into the conversation, give me Indy. I mean, they just got Pascal Siakam. They want to make a run.
Oh.
Is that cheating?
Oh, well, they're 25-20 now, and they just beat the Sixers.
Yeah.
Let me see what their remaining strength of schedule is. They are 28th. So they have the 3rd easiest schedule. Yeah,
and they have like a legit, really. They have like a good team that it takes time to adjust, especially with a player as good as Pascal. Like it just takes time. But I think
so how confident are you? Like how high do you think they could go? Man, the East is starting to look so good.
They could get to 4, I think, reasonably.
And even then, like, dude, the Knicks are on fire. 8-2 in their last 10, won 5 in a row. Sixers are obviously great. Bucks, we assume, are about to be. I mean, they've been good, but they'll be even better.
Good. Yeah,
Cleveland's going to get their guys back. Pacers are right there at 6.
Pacers are good.
East is loaded.
The Heat are still good. It's loaded until it's not.
It is right now. That's fine. We can go with the Pacers.
Once you get down to because that's the thing with the East is that some of these play-in teams are just not scary at all. Like Chicago and Atlanta. And those are 2 play-in teams right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at the West, though. Like the Lakers are 9th in the West as a play-in team.
Yeah, Mavs
and
Kings.
And the Mavs and the Kings. Like you look at the top of the West, who'd they be playing if they won? Oklahoma City and Minnesota. And you ask the Lakers, are you scared of playing Oklahoma City or Minnesota? They're probably like, no way. The West is the depth of the West. Like the quality depth of the West is still just insane. Where like the East, it like falls off a cliff. It feels like.
Well, if we're gonna cheat, 25-20, we'll choose the Pacers. They are a better team.
Yeah,
and I think yes, the Siakam move is going to start paying off. I know it started off a little rough, but they get that big win tonight. So, yeah,